Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our virtual Mishnah Berurah share. We're holding Mishnah Berurah Chelik Gimel, and Mirz Hashem. Today we will be learning Daf Yud Aleph Amid Beis. We are continuing to learn Hilchos Shabbos. We're holding in Siman Reish Mem Zayin. We pick up today on Yud Aleph Amid Aleph, 2 lines off the bottom in the Shulchan Aruch, Reish Mem Zayin Sif Beis. Our learning should be a schus refuah shalema for Bracha Tova Bas Leah, and it should also be a schus for Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael Hanesudim Batzar Ubashivya Ha'imdim Bein Bayom Ubein Bayabasha Hamakay Mirachem Aleihem V'Yaitziem Mitzar L'Rvacha Me'afela La'ira Umishibad L'Geula Hashta Ba'agala Uvizman Kariv V'Naimar Amen. So, we learned yesterday the halacha of a Yisrael who wants to give a letter to an Eina Yehudi letter carrier so that he should take the letter and deliver it for him to another city. And the halacha that we learned was, it depends. If you're hiring this Eina Yehudi letter carrier as a kablan, what does that mean? You're paying him for the job, so you're handing off the letter to him, and you're paying him $10 for the job of delivering the letter. Then you could even give him the letter on Erev Shabbos, even 5 minutes before Shkia. Even though there's absolutely no way he could accomplish the task before Shabbos, it doesn't matter. This is like the halacha of any other time you hire an Eina Yehudi to do malacha for you as a kablan. When you hire a kablan, once you contract him, it's not your concern when he's going to do the malacha. You're not requiring him to do the malacha on Shabbos. You're not telling him, listen, I must have it delivered by time X that's going to require him to do it on Shabbos. You're not giving him the letter on Shabbos. Indeed, he has to get the letter out of your house before Shabbos. You're contracting him Erev Shabbos before Shkia. Now, whatever he does, Nachri Adaita Denavshei Ka'avid, and there's no problem. But how about if you don't hire him as a kablan? If you hire him and you're going to pay him for his time, whatever it is, he's not a kablan. In that case, we have an unusual stringency when it comes to a letter carrier. By any other malacha, if you want to hire an Eina Yehudi to repair your dining room table, you want to hire him on Erev Shabbos, you must hire him early enough so that he can reasonably complete the malacha before Shabbos. If it's an hour job and you will hire him 3 hours before Shabbos, you're okay. Because, yes, he's acting as your shliach, but you gave him enough time to accomplish the job before Shabbos. Now, if he goes ahead and he does the job on Shabbos, that has nothing to do with you. But by a letter carrier, it's not that way. A letter carrier is carrying something that has Jewish words on it. Maybe it's written in Lashon HaKodesh. There's something that identifies it as a Jewish letter. Therefore, if you don't hire the Eina Yehudi as a kablan, if you hire him as a regular employee, it's not enough to give him enough time that he could reasonably accomplish the job before Shabbos. We have to know that he's going to be able to accomplish the job before Shabbos. Therefore, if you hire this fellow and he's taking the letter to a destination city where there is no postmaster that's permanently stationed in that city, we have to be concerned that, yes, you gave him plenty of time. But what if he takes the letter, he arrives at the destination city, the post office is closed, he can't find the postal agent, the Beit Dayar, he's going to end up wandering all around the city, going ahead and searching for the Beit Dayar on Shabbos, and meantime, he's doing this while he's carrying a letter that's identifiable as a Jewish letter. People are going to think that a Yid gave him the letter to deliver on Shabbos, and that would be usher. So that's the halacha that we learned yesterday. Today in Sif Beis, the Bechara is going to open up with a discussion of precisely how much of an agreement do you have to have with the letter carrier to make him a kablan. You want to hire him as a kablan. Now, the kablan is paid for the job. So at a very high level, the simple way to hire the kablan is to go to the kablan and say, listen, I need this letter delivered to that city. I'll pay you $10 for the job. Okay, now you definitely hired him as a kablan. But what if you didn't get as detailed as that? Let's see what the Mechaber says, Sif Beis. Let's say you commissioned this Eina Yehudi letter carrier, and you said, yeah, don't worry, I'm going to pay you. Okay, so he understands that he's going to get paid, and the understanding is that he's going to get paid the going rate. If you take a look in the Bir Halacha says, if the deal that you made with him is that you're going to give him his pay, it means that you're going to pay the normal amount of money. But the catch is, says the Mechaber, you made the deal, you made the agreement with him that you're going to give him his pay. However, what you did not do was spell out the dollar amount. So you didn't say, okay, I'm hiring you as a kablan, I'll pay you $10 for the job of delivering the letter. Instead, what you did was, you said, look, I need a letter carrier. You're a letter carrier? Yeah, please take this letter for me and I'll pay you. The understanding is that you're going to pay the going rate. You're going to pay the normal price. Dinoi kikoitzitz. The Mechaber says that is enough to make him as a kablan. That is called that you set the price for the job, even though you never mentioned the dollar amount. Why? Explains the Mechaber, very simple. Because the Eina Yehudi has confidence. He trusts the Eina Yehudi. He has full confidence in this arrangement. The dollar amount was unspoken, but it doesn't have to be. There's a going rate. He knows he's going to get his normal schar. And therefore, he accepts the job on himself as a kablan, ubedidei katarach. And now we look at it as nochria daita denavshei ka'avad. Remember what we always say about a kablan. I always stress that the reason why kablanus is mutter is because by kablanus, the kablan is no longer doing your work. He's doing his own work. You outsourced the job to somebody else. It's like when you give your car to the mechanic to do a brake job, when he's doing the brake job, he's not doing your work. You're not an auto mechanic. You don't know anything about doing brake jobs. He's doing his work. Somebody asks him, what do you do for a living? I work on cars. He's a kablan. He accepted your car, and now he's doing his work, and he's going to deliver the finished job to you. So too over here. What the Mechaber is saying is, you hired the letter carrier as a kablan. You hired him as a kablan. You didn't spell out the dollar amount. Says the Mechaber, that's okay. He accepted the job upon himself because he's confident that he's going to get his full pay. So, Sam Kadaite Den Yehudi Ubedidei Katarach. Aval, however, says the Mechaber, Bistam. Let's say you didn't make a deal with him and say, I'm hiring you and I'm going to pay you. Aval Bistam. What you did was you said, Tony, you're a letter carrier? I need this letter delivered to this and this city. You'll do it for me? And he says yes. Now, he took the letter to deliver the letter. This is what he does for a living. He's a letter carrier. He took the letter to deliver the letter. He has an expectation that he's going to get paid. Because, after all, why did you come to him? You came to him because this is what he does. This is some level of an understanding that he is going to get paid. There's an expectation that he's going to get paid. But over here, nothing was spelled out. It wasn't spelled out, I'll pay you in the normal way. It wasn't spelled out, you'll get the going rate. Nothing about pay was spelled out at all. It's just, you'll take the letter for me, I'll take the letter for you. Says the Mechaber, turning to the Alpha and Beis, in that case, even though the Eina Yehudi does expect to get paid, Osir, you would not be allowed to give him the letter on Erev Shabbos 5 minutes before Shkia. This is not considered a case of kablanus. You gave him the letter, there's an expectation that he's going to get paid for the job, so there's an expectation of a kablanus arrangement, but it was never spoken out. And therefore, says the Mechaber, Deloi Samcha Daite, because now the Ein Yehudi is not truly confident that he's going to get his full pay. So why is he doing it? Why is he accepting it? So this is a case where the fellow says, this guy gave me a letter to deliver. I mean, I hope he understands that he's going to pay me the full amount. I mean, yeah, I got the feeling from him that he's going to pay me, but, it was never spoken out. Not only the dollar amount wasn't spoken about. That's the first case. It's not only that the dollar amount wasn't spoken out. We never spoke about pay. So, yeah, I'm sure he's going to pay me, but I hope he has an understanding of what these things cost. Now, he took the letter, so he's going to make the delivery, but he doesn't have enough confidence that he now accepted the job as a kablonus, and we should say that when he's doing it, he's doing his own work. The reason we say by a kablan, nochri adaita denavshei ka'avad, is because he accepts the job, he knows he's going to get paid, and now he does his work. But over here, where there is not a high level of confidence that he's going to get his normal pay, he's not fully accepting the job upon himself and making it his work. And the way I understand this is, you have this sometimes, where, let's say you have a long-standing relationship with an auto mechanic. You've been using him for 30 years. And now you go over to the auto mechanic and you have an unusual type of job. And you say, you know what, maybe I have this car, it's an old car, but it has sentimental value to me, and so I want to change a part. It's not really worth it, and the part is hard to get. Will you do it for me? And the guy says, yeah, sure, I'll do it. When you leave, the guy turns to his workers and he says, I hope this guy really realizes how much this is going to cost. To get an alternator for a 1962 Mustang is very, very difficult. I have no idea what it's going to cost. I hope he understands how expensive this is going to be. And the workers look at him and say, so if you're not sure you're going to get paid the right amount of money, why are you willing to do it? And the answer is, for him? He's my customer for 30 years. For him, I'll do it. So why is he doing it? He's doing it for him. When he does a normal brake job for the customer, it's nachri adaita denavshei ka'avad. He's doing his work. But when there's a lack of confidence that he's going to get the full pay, now he's not doing it for himself. He's doing it for the Yisrael. And that's what the Mechaber says here. That if it's bistam, if payment was never discussed, so yeah, I took the letter to deliver it because that's what I do. And, I know the guy, whatever it is, maybe we've done work together, before, but I hope he's going to pay me. If he doesn't pay me, no, I did it for him. But I did it for him. I didn't do it, Nachri Adaita and Nafshei Kavad. And that's what the Mechaber says here. He says, Osir. Now, Osir means this is not considered a kablan. Since he's not considered a kablan, it would be Osir to give him the letter on Erev Shabbos close to Shkia. We're going to treat it as not being kablanus. If it's not kablanus, so then it depends. Is there a Beit Dayar Kavua in the destination city? If there is, you could give it to him with enough time to get there. If there's no Beit Dayar Kavua in the destination city, then according to the Mechaber, you can't even give it to him on Sunday. Because now he's not confident, and therefore, here are the key words in the Mechaber at the end of the Sif. Since he's not confident, ubedi Yisrael katarach. Now, when he does the malacha, he's doing the malacha for the Yid, and that creates a problem. Says the Mishnah Berurah here on Yud Alpha and Beis, Ice Cut Yud Beis. The Mechaber said that in this case of Stam, we're talking about a case where the Ein Yehudi does have an expectation of getting paid. Afal Pisha Yesh Bedaito, Ritzaina Loimar, what the Mechaber means to say is, Loi Meboya im Ha'Ein Yehudi Mestapik Klal im Yitnu Loi Schar. Certainly, if the case would be that the Ein Yehudi doesn't know if he's going to get paid at all, the Usr, that would certainly be Usr. If he's taking the letter and I don't know if this guy's going to pay me at all, then it's definitely Usr because it's not Nachri Adaita Denavshei Kavad. Ella filu ima Yisrael maven mimenu. What the Mechaber is talking about a case is where the Yid understands from his conversation with the Yeni Yehudi shemetzapel l'schar me'itoi, that he does have an expectation of getting paid, either from him, oimi misha nishtalach loy, or from the recipient of the letter. Afilu hachi aser, it's still aser, keven shayisrael lo yivticha yadayin. So the Mechaber's case, and this is, I want to be very careful to spell this out because it's going to become negeya again in Sif Daled. The Mechaber, in this case of Stam, is addressing a case where the Eni Yehudi has an expectation to get paid. He's just not confident that he's going to get the proper pay. Since he's not confident that he's going to get proper pay, he's not a kablan. If the Eni Yehudi would be doubting whether he's going to get paid at all, then certainly he's not a kablan. Certainly we would say that he's acting as a shliach and doing the malacha on behalf of the Yid, and it would be aser. Okay, Siv Gimel. Now we go off on a little bit of not a tangent, but now the Mechaber is going to discuss another type of kablanus. Really, the arrangement that the Mechaber is going to discuss over here should also be seen as kablanus in the eyes of halacha. But it's a different type of kablanus, and therefore it's going to create a problem. Says the Mechaber. Im secharoi liyamim. Let's say you have an arrangement with the Yeni Yehudi where he gets paid a set amount of money for a day. Im secharoi liyamim. You're hiring him for days. Davar kotzav b'chol yom. He receives a set amount of money for each day, b'halichasai u'b'chazarosai, for delivering letters and bringing back letters. So this fellow, Tony, this Eni Yehudi, he knows anytime I want, I can have a day's work by Ruvain. I go over to Ruvain, I'll say, okay, I'm available today to deliver your letters, pick up your letters, you'll pay me $100 for the day. Really, this is a type of kablanus. He's not being paid to perform the job, he's being paid a set amount for the day's labor. Now, says the Mechaber, he knows that you're not makbid when he does it. So it's this kind of arrangement where the Eni Yehudi knows, whenever I want, I get $100 for the day. I go to Ruvain, I tell him I'm willing to drop off letters, pick up letters, I get paid $100 for the day. Says the Mechaber, imhu be'erev Shabbos aser. You would not be allowed to commission him on Erev Shabbos and give him a letter on Erev Shabbos. So Tony shows up at Ruvain's house on Erev Shabbos and he says, you got a day's work for me? I know I could always get $100 a day for you. You have a day's work for me? Ruvain says, yeah, I have some letters. Here are some letters to deliver. There's no hakpada what day he does it on. When he comes back and he says, I did a day's work, he'll get $100. So really, there's a kablanus angle over here. When Tony wants to earn that $100, he'll put in the day's work. And Ruvain is not being makbid on him which day he should do it on. So he's not hiring him for Shabbos. He's not paying him like a schir yoim. I'm hiring you for Shabbos. I'll pay you $100 for Shabbos. No, you know you could always get $100 a day from me. Here's a package of letters. When it's done, come back to me. I'll give you $100 for the day. Says the Mechaber, you would not be allowed to do this on Erev Shabbos. You know why? Because, take a look at the optics over here. You're going to hand Tony a package of letters on Erev Shabbos. Then if Tony decides to do the day's work on Shabbos, you handed him a package of letters on Erev Shabbos, and on Shabbos, Tony went and delivered them. The optics of this arrangement are, it looks very much like you hired him on Erev Shabbos to deliver letters on Shabbos. It looks like you hired a schir yom for Shabbos. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Ois Cotton, Yud Gimel. If you hire this guy out by the day, return alarm. What the Mechaber wants to say is, even though at the beginning of this Siman we said that when you hire a kabbalan letter carrier, you could give him a letter on Erev Shabbos 5 minutes before Shkia. That's when you're paying him a set amount of money for the job, specifically for the accomplishment of the job. Because then we say that he accepted the job, and he does the job when he wants to do the job. That does not have the optics of he's doing Jews' work. He's doing Ruvain's work. No, he's a professional letter carrier who gets paid for accomplishing a certain task. You hand off the letter to him. Now it's his business. He does it whenever he wants. But when the ktsitsa over here, when the set pay is not for the job, and instead it's for the day's labor, where you're paying him a set amount for the day's work, even though you have no akpada when he should do it, you're not requiring him to do it on Shabbos, he can do it on Sunday. So that even in this case, if he chooses to do it on Shabbos, it's nachri adaita denavshei ka'avad that he's choosing to do it on Shabbos. I'm going to skip the brackets for a moment. Mikam makayim, nevertheless, even though you have this mitigating factor, that really there is an angle of nachri adaita denavshei ka'avad, because he's making $100 for the day and you don't care what day he does it. But if you would commission him on Erev Shabbos, this would be aser. Because since he's going to accept the letters from you on Erev Shabbos, and then he's going to go out and do the deliveries on Shabbos, it looks like this is the Tanai that you made with him. It looks like you contracted him to do the work on Shabbos. And he's going and he's doing it as your shliach, since you're paying him for the day. When you pay him for the job, somehow then it doesn't look like he's working for you. This is a job that he does. He accepted the job upon himself. He'll accomplish the job whenever he wants to accomplish the job. But over here, you didn't pay him for the job. Over here, you paid him for his time. You paid him for the day. And he's working right after you handed off the letter to him on Erev Shabbos. He's working on Shabbos. It looks like you hired him for Shabbos. In the other case, you hired him to do a job. Over here, you hired him for Shabbos, and therefore it would be aser on Erev Shabbos. Now let's take a look back at the brackets. In the brackets, the Mishnah Berurah makes an interesting point. He says, the mitigating factor, the fact that this is ultimately a form of kabbalanus, you are paying him a set amount for a certain amount of time, and he could exercise his right to choose what day he wants to work. So there is an angle of nachri adaita denavshei ka'avad. That mitigating factor does have a mitigating effect on the halacha. Says the Mishnah Berurah in the brackets, ulefikach adif miloi kotzatz klal. Realize that we are treating this as being more kuladik than the case where there's no ketzitza at all, where there's no angle of kabbalanus. When there's no angle of kabbalanus at all, we said that if there's no Beit Dayar Kavua in the destination city, the Mechaber said you're not even allowed to give the letter to the Ein Yehudi on Sunday. Over here, the Mechaber is saying you're allowed to give it to him on Thursday. You're just not allowed to give it to him on Erev Shabbos. Why? Because there is a mitigating factor over here that this is a form of kabbalanus. This would be mutter on Wednesday and Thursday, even according to the Mechaber in Sif Aleph, that said that when there's no kabbalanus, it's also even on Sunday. And he points that out in Eis Kat Yudalid. The Mechaber says this would be also be'erev Shabbos. Avol b'yom chamishi mutter, but on Thursday it would be mutter. Uladasa Ramola El Bahagon, according to the Ramah that we learned earlier, he's reminding us of the Ramah. The Ramah brought down the shita that says that even if there's no kablanis at all, it's always mutter to give the letter carrier the letter on Thursday because it's removed from Shabbos. Okay, Sif Daled. Now, when we do Sif Daled, we're going to have to remind ourselves a little bit about Sif Beis. Says the Mechaber in Sif Daled. We have seen, if you hire the Ein Yehudi letter carrier as a kablan, you could give him the letter right before Shabbos. If you hire him as a kablan, but you don't spell out the dollar amount, that's still complete kablanus. The letter carrier has confidence that he's going to receive his full pay. You can hand him the letter 5 minutes before Shkia. If you don't speak about pay at all, you just commission him to give him the letter. That's what the Mechaber called bistam. Oh, you're a letter carrier here. I need this letter. Take it to Muncie. Go ahead. You never spoke about payment. The letter carrier takes it because he has an expectation that he's going to get paid, but he's not confident that he's going to get his full pay. Therefore, he doesn't really accept the job upon himself as making it his work. He's kind of doing it. I hope I'm going to get paid. If not, I'm doing it for you. So already over there, there's an Amir La'akum problem. That's not considered kablanus, and therefore it would be usher to give him the letter on Erev Shabbos. Now we have another case. Says the Mechaber. Let's say the letter carrier decides that he's willing to do it for nothing. You come over to him and you say, hi, you're a letter carrier. I need this letter taken. How much? Oh, for you, don't worry about it. I'll do it for nothing. Oh, says the Mechaber. If the Ein Yehudi agrees to do it for nothing, then the Mechaber says you would even be allowed to give it to him on Erev Shabbos, even close to Shkia. This we're going to consider kablanus. Fascinating. How's it kablanus? You're not paying him at all. Says the Mechaber, Shaharei ha'Ein Yehudi me'elav hu oisezeh. The Ein Yehudi is offering to do it for nothing. Why is he offering to do it for nothing? It must be that he wants to do a favor for the Yisrael because he feels that he owes the Ein Yehudi something. So he holds that he owes the Yisrael something. So let's try to give a very practical example here. Let's say you have an Ein Yehudi neighbor, and you know that the Ein Yehudi neighbor sometimes delivers packages, sometimes delivers letters. So you go over to him and you say, Tony, I have this letter I need taken to Muncie. Would you take on the job for me? How much? Tony looks, for you? Are you kidding? I'm not going to take money from you. I'll do it for nothing. Why is he doing that? Says the Mechaber, you know why he's doing it? He's doing it because he holds that he owes you something. We're neighbors. Maybe one day you brought in my garbage cans. Maybe one day, you took in a package for me when Amazon came and it needed a signature. We're neighbors. I scratch your back. You scratch mine. You need me to deliver a letter for you. I'll provide that service. Now, this is not like the case of Sif Beis, of Stam. See, this is very interesting. We have two cases over here where the Ein Yehudi is, in this case, he's not getting money at all. He's deciding to do it for free. In Sif Beis, in the case of Stam, where you didn't talk about payment at all, over there we say it's usher to give him the letter on Erev Shabbos. Why is it usher? Because we say he's not confident that he's going to get his pay, so why is he doing it? He's doing it for you. He's doing it as your shliach. That's Amir La'akum. Over here, he's not getting paid at all. He never had any expectation of getting paid. Over here, we say it's mutter to give him the letter on Erev Shabbos. Why? Because these are two very different cases. In the case of Stam, the Ein Yehudi doesn't want to do this for you for nothing. He doesn't owe you anything. He's not interested in doing it for you for nothing. So why is he doing it? He's doing it because he has an expectation of getting paid. This is how he makes a living. But he's not confident that he's going to get his proper pay. So he's doing it, I hope I'm going to get paid. And if I don't get the proper pay, I did it for him. I did it for him as a favor. I did it for him. I didn't do it for me. I did it for him. In this case, where he's offering to do it for nothing, he's doing it for himself. He's willing to take on the job of delivering the letter because he holds that he owes you something. He holds that you did things for him, and now he wants to do something for you. But he's accepting it upon himself as his own work. It's nakri adaita denafshei ka'avad. He's doing it because he wants to do it. He's willing to take it on. In the case of Sif Beis of Stam, he really didn't want to take it on. He only wanted to take it on if he was going to get his proper pay. He's willing to do it because, hopefully, he'll get his proper pay. But if he doesn't get his proper pay, he did it for you. Over here, he's offering to do it gratis because he wants to do it gratis. So he's being makabel on himself. And nakri adaita denafshei ka'avad. So let's see it inside. If the Eini Yehudi agrees to do it for nothing, then you would be allowed to give him the letter even Erev Shabbos right before Shkia. Because the Eini Yehudi is doing it gratis on his own. He must be doing it to do a favor for the Yid because he feels that he owes the Yid something because of what he received from the Yid. And we consider that like a kablonis because nakri adaita denavshei ka'avid. Says the Mishnah Berurah Ois Katan Tesvav. Sha'arei Ein Yehudi Me'elav Pirish. The explanation of this is the Ein Yisrael Koifa Ois Al-Kach. The Ein Yehudi is not the Yid is not pressuring the Ein Yehudi to do this. What happened over here was, the way the Mishnah Berurah learns this mechaber, what happened over here was the Yid went over to the Ein Yehudi to contract him to go deliver the letter. The Ein Yehudi on his own offered to do it for nothing. So v'talina and shamash and isratza. So we understand it, and we say that the reason he's willing to do it is because of a past toiva that he received from the Yid, and therefore v'adaita denavshei ka'avid. Now the Ramah disagrees with this. Says the Ramah Hagah, v'yesh chalkim, there are those who disagree with this, the Sfiralu, and they hold the kol she'oisa b'chinam aser. The Ramah says there are those that hold that whenever the Ein Yehudi is doing it for nothing, that means that he's not doing his own work, he's doing it for you, he's doing your work, he's your shliach, and it would be aser. And the Ramah says v'toiv lahachmir, it would be proper, it would be good to be machmir and not give it to him on Erev Shabbos if he's going to be doing it gratis. But the Ramah draws a distinction between this case and another case. If the Ein Yehudi takes the initiative, the case that I told you the Mishnah Berurah understands the mechaber as talking about is where the initiative was taken by the Yid. The Yid went to the Ein Yehudi and said, I need a letter delivered. The Ein Yehudi said, I'll do it for nothing. Now the Ramah says, how about in a case where the Ein Yehudi takes the initiative? He approaches the Yisrael and he says, you have a letter that you need delivered, I'll do it for nothing. So now, who started the deal over here? The Ein Yehudi did. There, says the Ramah, then it's 100% certain that the Ein Yehudi must be doing this because he feels he owes the Yehudi something, and he's doing his own work, and nachri adaita denafshei ka'avid. Says the Mishnah Berurah is cut into Zayin. The Ramah said the Toiv lahachmir. He named Miloshan zeh mashmir. The rak Toiv lachish l'deyazu. From the language of the Ramah here, it sounds like it's only good to be machmir, but you don't have to be machmir. V'chein b'taz mashmir dedaita gedei harishayna. So too, if you look in the Taz, it looks in the Taz like he holds like the daita Rishona lahalacha, he really holds like the mechaber that really, if the Ein Yehudi offers to do it bechinam, it's really mutter. So it's only toiv lahachmer. La'alochi really paskins like the mechaber the taz. Avo b'darkei Moshe sibid reish dun beis ois beis. But if you look at the darkei Moshe on the Torah, it seems from the Ramah mashba the daita hu ka yesh cholkin. It sounds like the Ramah really paskins like this yesh cholkim that says that if the Ein Yehudi is doing it bechinam, you should be machmer. V'chein be'lovush u'be'el yerabah b'simin zeh mashba the asa bechinam. V'alkein therefore mehanachain it would be proper sheyiktzav v'lo al kol panim ezed davar muet avor zeh. If the Ein Yehudi says he'll do it for nothing, you should tell him, listen, for my own purposes, I need you to at least take $1 for this. I got to be paying you for it. It's a Shabbos issue. And that would make it a bona fide kablanus, since he's offering to do it for the $1. Okay, now we go to Sifhei. Let's say your neighbor Tony lets you know, oh, by the way, I'm heading out to Muncie now. So Ruvain turns to Tony and says, oh, you're going to Muncie? Hey, do me a favor, drop this letter off. Mutter b'chol gavna. That would be mutter. Now let's see exactly what this means. Says the Mishnah Berurah Katan Yud Zayin. Harlich mei atzmai. The first thing that happened over here is Tony let you know on his own that he happens to be traveling to Muncie. So in that case, the Mechaber is going to say, things become mutter. We're going to have to see exactly what becomes mutter. But that's a very big mitigating factor. Over here, you're not asking him to go for you. And he's not going. His whole going to Muncie has nothing to do with you. He's going for his own purposes. Once he's going, you want to take advantage of the fact that he's traveling to Muncie. You want to give him a letter. But, says the Mishnah Berurah, but if you know that by you giving him a letter, now he's going to be traveling more. So he told you he's going to Muncie. You asked him where. He told you exactly where he's going. And you said, oh, I have a letter that needs to be delivered to the other side of Muncie, all the way up 306 in Wesley Hills. He's going down Spring Valley by the birds. And you have a letter that has to go 25 minutes up on 306. And you know that if he accepts the letter, he's going to be traveling extra. So then this whole sif doesn't come into play. Then this is no different than you're asking him to travel for you to go deliver a letter. That's the rest of this Siman. That's not Sifhei. Sifhei is he's going to where you need him to go. Then the Mechaber said this becomes mutter b'chol gavna, under any circumstance. What exactly does this mean? Explains the Mishnah Berurah. Afilu loy katzas lita loy schar ela b'stama. When the Mechaber says that this is mutter in all situations, what he means is, Tony said he's going to Muncie, you're going to give him the letter. You're not setting a price for the job. It's stam. You're just handing off a letter to him. The kailon b'sif aleph, the asal l'shlayach al yodai, kishein kavua beidayar. This normally would be a situation where if there's no beidayar kavua in the destination city, you would not be allowed to give him a letter on Erev Shabbos. Why? Because we have to be concerned. Maybe he will not find the Beit Dayar. He won't find the postal agent. So he'll be wandering around the town on Shabbos with a Jewish letter, and people are going to be choshed that you sent the Ein Yehudi on Shabbos. Right? That was the concern of Sif Aleph. The concern of Sif Aleph is you're sending a letter with an Ein Yehudi letter carrier. You're not being koitzes, so he's not a kablan. If you're sending him to a town where there's no Beit Dayar Kavua, we have to be afraid that he's going to wander around the town with a Jewish letter, and people are going to think that you commissioned him on Shabbos, right? Now, over here in our case, he's traveling on his own. He's not a kablan. You're not paying him at all. One would think that we should say, oh, if there's no Beit Dayar Kavua, you can't give him the letter. Why? It's very nice that he's going on his own. So what? He's going on his own. But if there's no Beit Dayar Kavua, he might be wandering around the city looking for the Beit Dayar, and people are going to see him carrying a Jewish letter because you commissioned him on Shabbos. Right? So why don't we have that problem? He's not a kablan. Kablanus takes away that problem. Kablanus takes away that problem because once you hire a kablan, you're not mechuyev to know anything anymore. Once you hire a kablan, whatever he does is his own business, is detached from me, and therefore I don't have any concerns anymore. But if you don't hire a kablan, Then we said if there's no Beit Dayar Kavua in the destination city, you have to worry because you're sending him and he's wandering around with this Jewish letter. So how about over here where he's going for nothing? Says the Mishnah Berurah, over here we're not worried. Afilu hachi sharin an kan. Over here we say it's mutter. Why? Kevan she'ena ein Yehudi holich b'shlichusai. Because this ain't a Yehudi is not going to Muncie for you. He's going to Muncie for his own purposes. He's going for whatever reason he's going. He heard that there's a good restaurant. He wants to go eat in a good restaurant. Therefore, if he doesn't find the Beit Dayar, he's not going to go wandering around town looking for the Beit Dayar. You see, in Sif Aleph, if you commissioned an Eina Yehudi letter carrier, you hired him to deliver a letter for you, and you didn't make him a kablan, why is he going? He's going for you. He has to deliver your letter. If he doesn't find the postal agent, he's going to wander around the city because that's his job. But this guy's going to a restaurant on Route 59. You took advantage of the fact that he's going. Would you take this to Muncie for me? Okay, fine, I'll take it. If he goes to the post office and the post office is closed, you think he's wandering around town looking for the postal guy? No, he's going to come back and give you the letter back. He's going to say, I'm sorry, they were closed. So therefore, you don't have the concern. But, says the Mishnah Berurah, but understand the halacha here. But you're only allowed to give this letter to Tony, who happens to be going to Muncie, if there's enough time for him to get there before Shabbos. But if there's no time for him to get to Muncie before Shabbos, it would be asr. You're not allowed to give Tony, in this case, the letter 5 minutes before Shkia. Even though he's not going for you. He's going for his own purposes. You're still not allowed to give him the letter right before Shabbos. You know why? Because it's very nice that he's traveling to Muncie for his own purposes. But he's carrying your letter. And that entails hoitzah. That's malacha. So the malacha of carrying the letter is being done for you. So you're still commissioning him to do malacha for you. And the halacha is, if you want to commission an Eina Yehudi to perform malacha for you on Erev Shabbos, and it's not kablanus, there's got to be enough time for him to accomplish the malacha before Shabbos. V'da, and also realize, deliten loy b'Shabbos. How about if Tony, you step outside Shabbos afternoon, and Tony's getting in his car, and he says he's going to Muncie, and you have something that needs to be delivered to Muncie, and it's not muktzah, so you want to run inside and grab it and give it to Tony. You're not allowed to do that. To give it to him a letter on Shabbos is certainly usher, according to everybody. Even if he's going on his own. Even if you find out about it on Erev Shabbos, and you tell him on Erev Shabbos, I'll pay you $20 to deliver my letter. So you're making him a kablan. You made him a kablan on Erev Shabbos. Could you hand him the letter on Shabbos? No. Because you're being miyachid malachtai on Shabbos. You're not allowed to give it any Yehudi work to do on Shabbos. Valkein also litein igeres al hapost b'Shabbos. Therefore, says the Mishnah Berurah, you're not allowed to stick a letter in the mail on Shabbos. Umei Erev Shabbos mutter. It's mutter to put a letter in the mail on Erev Shabbos. Why? Dala post tevitamid katzatz. Because that's ktsitza, that's kablanus. There's a fixed, that stamp that you put on the letter, you pay a fixed amount for the job. That's kablanus. So you're doing a kablanus on Erev Shabbos, you're putting it in the mailbox, now nachred aited and avshei kovad. Because even if you're not going to pay, the recipient is going to pay. Now he points out here, this is going back on before the brackets. He says you're not allowed to put a letter in the mail on Shabbos. Now, I just want to be clear. I said it's mutter to put a letter in the mail on Erev Shabbos. We're going to have to talk about if the mailbox is on your property or the mailbox is not on your property. We'll have to get to that. Let's imagine a simpler case right now. We're talking about going to the post office and giving them a letter, or going to the mailbox out in Rishus Harabim and putting in a letter. You're not allowed to do that on Shabbos. because you're giving malacha to an Eini Yehudi on Shabbos. You're not allowed to do that. Erev Shabbos, he says you're allowed to do it. I feel b'makom sheyesh erev. You're not allowed to even, let's say there's an erev in your town, so you want to take the letter to the mailbox, and it's within the erev, and you want to put it in the mailbox. You're not allowed to do that. You wouldn't even be allowed to take the letter and give it to an Eini Yehudi and ask an Eini Yehudi to drop it into the mailbox. Shabbos gufa. Kitzitza, kablonis doesn't help on Shabbos. You can't commission a kablan on Shabbos. Ach b'bakum hefsid gadol. In the case of great loss, yesh lahater b'khay gavna. We could be matter to give the letter to an Eini Yehudi to put it in to deliver it, to put it in the mailbox on Shabbos. Because that would be a double derabanan. It's Amir La'akum is itself a derabanan. You're doing it with an Eini Yehudi, this would be a double derabanan. V'shaloi b'makom hefsid, if it's not a makom hefsid, yesh lahakmir, afilu be'erev Shabbos, shaloi litei l'Eini Yehudi ha'igeres, shehu yitei no'isayel post b'Shabbos. If it's not a makom hefsid, you shouldn't even give an Eini Yehudi a letter on erev Shabbos, so that he should put it in the mailbox on Shabbos. Because you're being miyachid malacha for an Eini Yehudi to do on Shabbos, which you're not allowed to do. Okay, let's finish off the Siman over here. Sivav says the Mechaber. Mi sheyesh lo sachir Eini Yehudi l'shana o yoser. Let's say you have a non-Jewish retainer. We spoke about such a concept earlier in Siman Reish Mem Dalet. You have a retainer who works for you full-time. You hired him for a year. You hired him for 2 years. He does all sorts of work for you. One day you need him to take your car to the mechanic. One day you need him to take your dry cleaners to the dry cleaner. One day you need him to deliver packages. One day you need him to pick stuff up. One day you need him to fix something, to fix a pipe that broke under your sink. So you have a retainer that you hired for a year or two, and he does all manner of work for you. Also, l'shalchai erev Shabbos b'igeres, you are not allowed to give him a letter on erev Shabbos to deliver. Says the Mishnah Berurah is cutting your test. Also, l'shalchai, the mashu schira l'shana lo nechshav kitzitza. The chiddush over here is, you would think, why is there a problem of me giving him the letter? Why isn't he a kablan? This fellow is basically a kablan. He's a retainer of mine. And like I said, we had this halacha in Siman Reish Mem Dalet Sifhei. In Siman Reish Mem Dalet Sifhei, the Mechaber said, if you hire an Eini Yehudi for a year or two, you have him on a retainer. Let's say he's a scribe, right? So you hired a retainer, whatever writing you need for the year, he's going to do. Or he's a tailor. Whatever tailoring you need for the year, he's going to do. You could give him malacha to do, and if he wants to do the malacha on Shabbos, he can. Why? Because this is nachri adaita de nafshei kavad. He's a retainer. He gets paid a fixed amount of money for the year to do the malacha that you need. You give him tailoring. Now, once he gets that tailoring, you're not makbid that he should do it on Shabbos. You're not requiring to do it on Shabbos. So if he does it on Shabbos, nachri adaita de nafshei kavad. It was convenient for him to do it on Shabbos, like any kablan. Says the Mechaber over here in Sivav and Reish Mem Zayin, if you have this retainer, but this retainer is not a retainer for one specific malacha. This is not a letter carrier that you have on retainer to only do letter deliveries whenever you need letter deliveries, and he can do them whenever he wants. This is a retainer who takes care of your car, who takes care of your dry cleaning, who takes care of your letters, who fixes your plumbing. He does all manner of malacha for you. Says the Mechaber, in such a case, you're not allowed to give him a letter on erev Shabbos. Says the Mishnah Berurah cutting your test. The mashu schira leishana lo nechshav kitzitza, because the fact that you have him on a retainer will not elevate him to the level of a kablan in the context of this halacha. Why? Therefore, the halacha of Sif Aleph is going to apply to him. We're going to treat him as a letter carrier who's not a kablan, and therefore, it depends. If there's no Beit Dayar Kavua in the destination city, you can't give him the letter, even on Sunday, according to the Mechaber. Why? Because we have to worry that he's going to wander around town. But here, even the Mechaber is Mekel. He only asers on Erev Shabbos. I'm not going to see the Bir Halacha inside because we're already going late. But again, the explanation of the Mechaber in this sif is, this is a retainer who does all manner of work for you. When you have a retainer who does all manner of work for you, we learned in Reish Mem Dalet Sif Hey that we don't say Nochri Adaita Denafshei Ka'avad. Why? Because if you give him a letter on Erev Shabbos and he chooses to deliver it on Shabbos, you are directly going to benefit from that decision. Because if he wouldn't do it on Erev Shabbos, when you need him to fix a pipe on Sunday, he might say, I can't because I have to deliver that letter. Or I can't because I'm still backed up from last week. I still have to fix this or deliver that or mop the floor over there or do this or cut the lawn. So when you have a retainer that does all manner of work for you, you cannot allow him to do malacha on Shabbos because we don't say Nachri Adaita Denafshei Ka'avad. We don't say that he's only doing it for his own purposes. We say that you have such a concrete gain from him doing work on Shabbos that it's closely connected to you and therefore it's aser. And that's the halacha that the Mechaber is saying over here in Sivav. Now, go back into the Shulchan Aruch, says the Ramah, Hago, Umiuim loischar rak l'shlichus igeres. But if he's not a retainer that does all manner of work for you, if he's a retainer who's only a delivery boy, so you have a delivery person hired for the year, then yesh matirin. Then according to the Rambam, it would be mutter to allow him to deliver, not to tell him, but to allow him to deliver the letter on Shabbos if he so chooses. Why? Because since he's only a letter carrier, he doesn't have so much work for you that you're going to have a concrete benefit from him doing it on Shabbos. If he's doing it on Shabbos, he's doing it on Shabbos for his own purposes, and this is K'mosh and Ispar La'el, Siman Reish Mem Dalet, says the Mishnah Berurah Chav, K'mosh and Ispar La'el, Hainu De'ah HaRishon Hasham. This is the opinion of the Mechaber, back in Reish Mem Dalet Sif Hey, the De'ah Rishona, that when you have a retainer who only does one specific type of work for you, when you have a tailor on retainer, or you have a scribe on retainer, or you have a delivery person on retainer, so then, since he gets paid for the year, he has the status of a kablan. If he chooses to do malacha on Shabbos, Nachri Adaita Denafshei Ka'avad, it's not your problem. You could allow him to do it on Shabbos. But of course, you would not be allowed to give him the malacha on Shabbos because you're never allowed to be miyachid malachtoi on Shabbos. Thank you so much for joining me for limud HaTorah. Discussing limud HaTorah should be making against Klal Yisrael. The Ron Shem should send Yeshua Sefurus Parnasset Sheduchim to all those in need. We should be zeicher to see the BS Gold Tzedek. B'meherav Yameinu Amen. Be well.